Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 290 of the RRBG podcast. This episode is also brought to you by Killcliff. My friends over at Killcliff make the best energy drink you can buy in the market today. Clean energy, none of that crap that they put in Monster or any of those Red Bulls. No sugar, just clean power for all the grind you're going to have to put in today. And if you're not grinding today and you just want to relax, they also have CBD drinks to help you recover from any injuries you may have, any kind of inflammation. Maybe you went a little too hard at the gym. CBD drink will get you right back on track. Go to their website, killcliff.com. Check out all their different flavors. My personal favorite Ignite drink is the Cherry Limeade. And in the CBD category, you have to try the Joe Rogan Special. It's the Flaming Joe Pineapple with Jalapeno. It's not that spicy. You just get a little bit of a kick at the end. It's delicious. Go to killcliff.com and tell them that RRBG sent you. This episode is also brought to you by our good friends at Saints Joints. Go to saintsjoints.com to check out all the options that they have. They have these amazing packages with pre-roll joints, which will have pre-rolls from either side of the strain spectrum, either indica or sativa, and they even have multi-strain collections. Pick up one of their amazing Book of Saints. They currently have 2 volumes, volume 2 being a special Halloween edition. It looks like the Necronomicon. It's amazing. They're currently available in Washington and Oregon and will soon be available in California. Go to saintsjoints.com and tell them that RRBG sent you. This episode is also brought to you by our friends at Thunderking Coffee. Thunderking provides organic, air-roasted coffee straight out of Costa Mesa, California. It's seriously some of the best coffee I've ever had. My personal favorite is the Positive Morning Attitude. I order 2 pounds of this almost every 2 weeks because I just can't get enough. But they also have bottled cold brew. They have their special California Christmas peppermint cold brew out right now. You can order it from their website. So go to thunderkingcoffee.com and check it out. Support small, independent businesses, people. What's up, everyone, and welcome to the RRBG podcast. In this episode, it's the return of Anthony Lucero of Cult Leader. We talked about their new split EP with End called Gather and Mourn. We talked about the lyrical themes about that. We talked about the headspace he gets into when writing lyrics. We talked about him becoming a parent and what that's been like for him. We talked about his artwork and working with House of Black and Malakai Black over at AEW for the Black Mask clothing brand. We talked about potential new Cult Leader music or a potential solo project for him. It was a lot of fun. I hope you guys enjoy it. Please make sure to follow him at useless.animal or follow the band at Cult Leader Music. Make sure to like and subscribe and hit the little bell and all those things down there so that we can fight the algorithm and that way more people can see the show. And if you get a chance, go to patreon.com/RRBG and support the podcast. Cheers. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the RRBG podcast, and I want to welcome back Anthony Lucero to the show. How are you, brother?
Doing good. Doing real good.
Last time you were on the show, we did video chat, but I didn't have video on the show. Like I just did it to have the conversation, and my dumbass brain never put 2 and 2 together. Like, maybe I should record this and put that on the internet. I don't know. So lots of exciting things. You also mentioned a lot of weird things, but from my end, looking in, you've got new music coming out that I'm excited about. I picked up the split EP with End called Gather and Mourn. 2 songs from you, 2 songs from them, right?
Yeah.
How'd you guys, decide to make that pairing?
I'm not exactly sure who made the connection first. I mean, I know that Billy Reimer, the drummer for Dillinger Escape Plan, plays an End. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, we did that tour with Dillinger. That was their final tour. It was like a 6-week run. It was a big fucking tour.
Yeah.
So we spent a lot of time with him. He's a fucking cool dude. So I don't know if it was him pushing it or if all the guys in End were just into it and down. But it's been Cool, man. I don't know. We connected, and it's taken well over a year and a half, maybe even 2 years to even try to get this thing off the ground.
Oh,
it took
okay.
a long time. Like, I think we started talking about it before all the weird world shut down. Yeah.
And now those songs that are on there, are these things that you were writing for just a new album, or did you write it specifically for the split?
Pretty much specifically for the split.
Okay.
Yeah. And then we actually ended up writing 4 songs and only put out 2. So we just kind of overshot. There was like some sort of miscommunication or something, but they only recorded 2 songs. And then when we presented our shit, we've got 4. And they're like, we can't, so we've got to keep it kind of balanced, so we're holding 2 back. One is another just like straight banger. Like it's a really fucking good song. So I'm bummed that it's not out there. And then the other one is a lot like, it's one of our slower songs. I actually think it's like our best slow song that we've ever written. So we're trying to figure out what to do with that, because as an outlier, those songs are very difficult to weave in and out of what we do.
Yeah.
And since it's just kind of a one-off, we're trying to figure out what to do with it. Like there's talk of doing another split with someone else. Like it's another band. It's like straight up indie band. It is into it. And we might just maybe record another one and put out like just a couple slow guys, but not quite sure what we'll do with that yet. But they're there, and I want them out there. I'm bummed that they're not out there. Sure.
Yeah, I mean, I've never really understood that idea. I've seen bands that, oh yeah, we wrote 36 songs for the new album, and we're only putting out 12. It's like, where's the other stuff? Like,
yeah,
I mean, we some bands still do the B-sides thing, but I've never been one to waste a song, or spend my time on a song to just throw it out.
Yeah.
When I was doing the band, it was every song counted. So I never got that idea.
Yeah, I mean, they were written for this split, but then it would have caused a wild imbalance. So just like keep everybody in, just keep it in a
just force N to make 2 more songs. No, I'm just kidding.
I wish we could have. I mean, that came up, like the idea of them just recording more, but they couldn't pull it together, have the time to do it. So we've just got those 2, but they were, we certainly don't write songs as filler. You know what I mean? Like there's never been a song that we've written that we're like, all right, this is just going to add time. I mean, there are songs that we've written that I feel like in their own way are just too complicated to play live. That we just don't have the means to do it. So there's a bunch of songs we've written that we don't play because we've just got like logistically not sure how we would ever pull it off. I'm sure that if we like fully focused on it, we could do it, but it's always just been like, those ones can exist over there as album, and we'll focus on the ones that we can really like know for sure that we can knock out live.
Yeah. That used to be an old, thing that I forgot what band. Somebody in one of the like bigger bands said something about not writing stuff that you can't play live. Mm-hmm. And I kind of adapted that too, where like, I want to challenge myself to create something unique or different, but also I do want to be able to pull it off live, Yeah. And, but, times change. And honestly, at this point, you could just pop a laptop on stage and it'll cover the rest of the stuff you can't really do, You just got to get it together.
Yeah. I mean, there's no way that we would ever write a song that we couldn't play together for sure. But it's just logistically like putting a set together. We've got a certain amount of time to figure out a set. We've got to but if we want to do those songs, we got to put like serious time into like committing to make sure we can get those songs perfect every time. And usually the time constraints are just like, well, it's going to take too much to do this. So we're not going to do it. But we've had conversations like, when we were going to do Roadburn just before, everything shut down. Like that tour, that whole European tour got canceled like a week and a half before. Everything shut down a week and a half before that tour. And the plan was to play A Patient Man all the way through, which we have never done.
Nice.
And so there's a bunch of there's a bunch of songs on that record that we've never played that I really, really want to start playing. And I know we can. It's just that same factor. Like these are like we walked into a set. We're really good at these ones. We would have to really concentrate on doing everything else to make these songs work. Just mostly out of time constraints and just like logistically it's like, okay, this is our set. But for sure, if we focused on it, we'd be playing. We could play literally anything we've ever wrote. It's just kind of, choice and logistics.
All right. Well, I want to ask you about, you got some shows coming up, but before we move on past the EP, curious idea in my head was, you're an artist. You've done artwork for the band before. Mm-hmm. You still do art now, but the cover for the EP was actually Jacob Bannon. Like,
right.
Why go with Jacob? I mean, obviously he's a talented artist as well. No slight on him. I have a piece right up here, but why choose to go with a different artist as opposed to just taking care of it yourself?
Yeah, it was kind of a ego check for me. Like I had to really put my ego away for that one because I have done, I think at one point we had one other artist do one shirt for us. Other than that, I've drawn literally everything that we've ever done. Every piece of merch, every advertisement, all the album art. Like it's 100% my art. And I'm really proud of that. And I feel like that those, like my art really is specifically dialed into the tone of the band. And, and has a completely different art style. Mm-hmm. And so the idea came up of being like, well, can we do some sort of merging of your art style? Because it's not someone within the band. They have their guy who does it, but he's very much like, the visual tone of the band. Like, is there a way that we could do like a mashup and try to put two older pieces together to make it work? Ultimately, it was just like, I didn't want, or neither of us wanted like our art styles to really like command to the tone of the piece. Mm. So it'd be like, if it looked too much like my artwork, then, it feels like we're speaking over end, or if it feels like theirs, and they're, same idea. So through conversation, it was just like, well, who is the obvious, like, third party who is like, I don't see how you could ever like, who's a friend who's like one of them, like created some of the most iconic pieces of album art of all time, and is just like willing to do it. And it would just be like, well, how can you not fully just embrace getting Jacob Bannon to do the cover art for one of your records? Yeah. So it'd just be like, so through all that, Jacob agreed, and it was just like, that's it. That's what we could do. And it wasn't, you don't really, he's really open to suggestions and like into art direction, because he approaches it like he's working for you, and that's really fucking cool. But at the same time, it's just like, no, man, your voice is your voice. Like we want, if Jacob Bannon's going to do our artwork, we want it to feel like Jacob Bannon. Right. So it's a cool way to have it like be, it's connective tissue through everything, but it's also just like, like there's no way that you can say no if he says that he was willing to do it for you. So just like, go for it, man. It's fucking awesome.
For sure. I mean, like you said, it's not like he's a bad artist. It's a very good thing to have him do your art. I did see, who was it? Oh, it was the 2 Minutes to Late Night guys. They were doing those Splitsville EPs that they're doing, and the way that they did it was like Jordan, but like for the Every Time I Die / Caven one, they had Jordan's art on one side of the EP, and then the other art, Thomas Hooper, I think, on the other side.
Oh yeah,
of the EP. But I mean, it feels just it just feels like two separate things as opposed to a nice cohesive piece.
Yeah, and that's what we wanted. We wanted something to where it wouldn't just feel like one of us is trying to, have a little bit of a leg up or more visual command or even sonic command or anything. We wanted it to feel like a cool balance. We're doing it together. Everything will be as unified in its way as we can make it. So having someone else that's not either one of our specific voices to do it was
nice. Nice. Are you guys working currently on a new album, a full length, or is this more like, here's an EP, we're going to tour for a bit and then write a new album?
Yeah, right now it's mostly just like, here's the EP, because it took us so long to get anything together, to get this EP rolling. Because like on top of everything, I'm in Los Angeles and they're all in Salt Lake. So it's, and we all are, through all of this, three of us got married. I just had a baby. So it's like trying to put
congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah. Like we're trying to, everyone kind of like ended up putting roots down while we were all stuck. And so it's complicated things, which musically, but so right now there's just mountains of riffs that are there, but nothing has been put together. Like, we'll start practicing, like hopefully within the next couple of days for our show coming up. And then when that happens, it usually turns into like, okay, we'll run through the set. We'll make sure we can still play our songs. It's been fucking forever. And then after that, it's usually just like full on into like, well, here's everything we got. Let's start putting shit together. There's never been a time where we've been in a room together where we haven't been writing like as a unit. Other than that, it's just kind of like everybody's got ideas here, So it's nice time, like taking time off is nice because you can build kind of a catalog of shit put together.
Yeah. And so you haven't played a show since the lockdown, the pandemic and everything? No,
man. Our last show was like the January before the lockdown, I think. And it was, fuck. That's it. That's the last time we played a show.
Oh, no. Shit. I want to get into also the, how you were during the lockdown, mental health wise and everything. Because I know that specifically for musicians and artists, like that was a particularly tough time for some people. Some people just like, I don't know what happened. Their switch went off and they just got super creative. But for most people, it was a very, shitty time. So
yeah.
I do want to get into that. But before going into all the touring and mental health stuff, do you feel yourself musically leaning towards, as you get older now and you're more like, you said you had a kid, you have a family, are you seeing yourself kind of leaning more into less chaotic violence music and more of the slower songs, more singing? Or do you feel that you're still just as angry and pissed off and, have something to scream about?
I feel like I'll never run out of things to scream about.
Okay.
Ever. But the reason I'm so interested in the slower stuff is simply because it's the thing we've done the least of. Mm-hmm. So it's creatively, it's the thing we have spent the least amount of time exploring. And I feel like if we truly focused on that, we could, there's just so far that we could go in that direction. But like, and I know people hate it when a band like completely switches directions. So I don't think we would ever actually do that. But I just feel like we know what we're doing when it comes to writing fast, chaotic, angry music. Like, it's easy and it's in its way because it comes easily. I guess it's not easy in any way, but it comes naturally. Mm. The other stuff, there's a lot more thought process and I feel like creative jujitsu, I guess, that goes into writing that kind of shit. And, I feel like as a fulfilling piece of art, that stuff has been really, really interesting because it's just so much to explore there that we haven't done before. And so, I don't know, there have been the ideas of like, do we do an EP or like our own split where we do like one side is all just straight bangers and one side is all slow guys, or like a split out, like a double LP where one is like that or the other? Or do we enjoy integrating the two? Right now it's the integration of the two, but I would still like to explore going in that direction.
I like it. I like it when it's mixed up, integrated, because it gives you a break while you're listening to the album as a whole. Because sometimes I'll put on an album while I'm driving, and like it's really good to start with a banger. Get the juices flowing, and I'm driving, and it's exciting. But then, like after 3 or 4 songs of just constant chaos, you want a little breather. Nothing, not to turn it off or change it, but just a little breather, and that's when the slow guys really, get to shine, I think.
Yeah, and I think we've always liked to enjoy doing that, like at least writing slower parts, even if there was no screaming in it or anything, just like something to really like change the tone. So we're playing with, I feel like our music really only plays in 2 realms of emotion, which is either just like absolute rage or total depression. Yeah. So, I like playing with all of that, but it's, there's a lot of people who, they're only there for the bangers. And as soon as a slow song comes on, that's their skip button.
Yeah.
But
oh God, here we go. Singing.
Yeah, exactly. and that's fine. That's fine with me, man. You know, like we're not writing the music to please them. We're doing it to please ourselves. And if they don't dig it, that's fine. They don't dig it. But
okay.
But I've always loved interludes and like, you know, an ambient piece stuck into the middle of just like pure chaos. Cause then it does give you like kind of a reset, you know, but there's nothing that feels better, I think, than writing a really fucking good song that is instead of just like, here's a cool movie clip with some ambience, you know, like how about we write really like thoughtful song so that we can have those ebbs and flows through a record, but also, you know, still write our own music and then do like full pieces all the way through the whole thing.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Have you thought about doing a solo project that's kind of all slow like that and get a nice big hat with a big rim, you know, and just play acoustic guitar somewhere in the desert?
Yeah. Just do my own, like I'm the solo frontman goes solo and the Americana country project.
By the way, I'm not calling anybody out specifically with the hat thing. I just think it's funny.
The hat's very much a part of it. If you don't get the hat, then it's not real. Yeah.
There are a couple dudes I know that, you know, do a solo thing and they wear a hat and I'm like, okay, well,
yep.
That's like the Superman thing, you know, take the glasses off and I have a hat now. You don't know who I am.
Yeah, I'm a new person
now.
Yeah.
Oh shit, man. All right. So let's go back to the shows. So you haven't played a show since, and you have one coming up. I think August 21st is the one here in LA at 1720. Let me ask you something. Were you in LA last time we spoke?
Yeah, I think so.
Shit. Okay. Well, you know, we should hang out.
Yeah.
I do a lot of things in town that could be fun if you're, you know, wanting to go out. I don't know where you're at mentally in terms of going out. I've officially given up on the whole pandemic thing. I'm like, fuck it. I got things to do.
Yeah. I'm 100% over the pandemic stuff. But the thing that keeps me at home is the baby.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So,
of course.
Yeah. So, but, you know, I could use some friends. I'll put it that way.
how's, you know, I keep jumping around, but how's the baby changed you in terms of, do you feel that change that people say where it's completely life-changing and now you're looking at things differently? How is that for you?
It is basically indescribable how much of a change it is.
Really? Okay.
In your, like physically and mentally. Like, I don't know how to describe it. So it's one of those things where like everybody, you spend so much time anticipating like, oh boy, here comes the kid, you know?
Yeah.
But when it comes, there's like a level of, I don't even know how to describe it, man. It's like,
have you done psychedelics? Would you say that it's kind of like getting hit with a dose of something that you've never experienced?
No, the only drug I've ever done was weed, and when I do it, I want to hide from the cops under my bed, so I don't. I don't ever really fuck with weed very much. But
did it feel like something hitting you, like, oh shit, you know?
It is a bolt of lightning, and it's like. I keep saying to my wife, it's just like I had no idea it would feel like all the anticipation. Everybody tells you that it's life changing, but then like there's the kid, and it like
ego shattering, where you're like, I don't care about me anymore. It's all about the baby.
It decimates it like, so I guess like the almost full erasure and rebuilding of who you are in like a moment. Like, because everything is completely irreversibly changed, but there's a completely new life that your like wife made with her body, or, you know, it doesn't have to be your wife, but, you know, uterus person.
And
it's just like, you know, like it's incredible because you get to watch it, like it's like watching a system come online that is made out of love. It's really strange. Like you see like the connections being made in the way that they look at things, the way they move, the way they do this. You see like step by step, like this person forming. And it's incredible. And then as soon as they can, you know, visually recognize you and smile when they see you, it's like, it feels like every cell in your body turns on. Like there's no feeling that I've ever felt like that before, ever. Nothing has compared to it. Like getting recognition from that tiny little human and when they are happy to see you, there's no feeling like that in the whole world. So that is like, nothing is as important as this anymore.
So if like, I mean, and I hate putting up these hypotheticals, but like, you know, if the situation came where it was like no more music ever, just got to focus on the baby, then that's it. You'll be fine. You'll be okay. Unrealistic. You don't have to answer that. I was just being fucking weird.
Yeah. I mean, that is a rough one. You know, I mean, like there's so much about like, you know, like we did so much studying and doing all that kind of shit like before the kid came to try to prepare, like the levels of digging into getting ready for it was incredible. But one of the things they say is just like, you can't let go of yourself, you know?
Yeah.
Like, all this is going to happen, but like, and it's going to change the focus in so many ways. But like, if you stop focusing on your wife or your partner or whoever, then that's going to fall apart. And if you stop focusing on the things that fulfill you outside of this child, then you're eventually going to crumble, because there's like, you can't live through the kid. You've got to have your own, you know, your own structure and your own things to make you happy. So in that way, you know, like I don't think I could ever fully survive as a human without creating art in some way.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I don't feel like being a parent keeps you from doing it. Look, you know, so I know a lot.
As long as it's two of you, you know, there's always that like, hey, I need, you know, this little bit amount of time to go do this. And you guys can trade off, like, you know, she'll probably need some time for whatever, anything that she's got to go do. You'll step in and, you know, stay with the kid for a bit. How old are we talking? Like, how recent was this?
She'll be 6 months old on the 17th.
Oh no!
So she's brand new.
Yeah. Fresh out of the package.
Yep.
Oh wow. Okay, so that's going to be a very interesting thing for you then. Is the first show at 1720, or you have other shows before it?
No, the first show is this month, actually, on the 25th. 27th in Salt Lake. It's a fest called Crucial Fest.
Are you guys not playing the 21st? Because I have you on my calendar. On the 1720 in downtown LA. I might be going crazy.
No, I don't think so.
I put you down. What is that? Where did I see that? Or do you not know you have a show on the 21st?
Either. It was the 21st of this month?
Yeah.
No. I don't think we do. And if we do, then holy shit. But I don't think we do.
I might be going crazy, but it might have been canceled. It might have been pushed. Who knows? Things are so crazy.
Yeah, I don't know. The only thing I'm sure of is the show in Salt Lake. But if we have another one, then I'll show up.
So then you're prepping yourself for this show, but it's going to be, you know, number one, obviously you're a different person now with the kid, but also post-pandemic, being in front of a crowd and that's in that way. Because I'm sure, I mean, have you been to any shows at all, like anybody else's shows since the pandemic?
No, I have not seen a band play live in 2.5 years.
Wow. Yeah, so that's going to be a jarring experience, I think, for you to see a crowd of people and for you to be the one, you know, yelling at them and them yelling back. It's going to be intense. Are you prepared mentally, you think?
Yeah, mentally, yeah. Like I don't think that won't bother me at all. Like I'm not worried about crowds. I'm not worried about that kind of stuff. It's the thing that really I'm more focused on, or the thing that, you know, I can feel a bit of worry about is just like prepared for the show. You know, like it's been so long, you know, like I haven't used my voice that way. You know, the only time I have used my voice that way is to record the EP. And so, you know, at least I know it's there, but it, you know, it's just like, it's a physical thing, man. You know, you may be fully ready. I may practice on my own at home and show up and my voice is just like, nah, you're not ready yet. You know, so sound like shit.
Have you been keeping up your, like, or, you know, in preparation for live shows, have you started like working out and stretching out to get your conditioning back? Cause it is a very physically demanding performance you guys do.
Yeah. The breath part for sure. So I've been working out pretty hard actually for the last, you know, 2 or 3 months. So that's been nice to actually, like, you know, I got super sloppy, super lazy, gained 20 pounds during the pandemic, like all that shit, you know? And so like, you know, changing mindset, like, no, all of this is shitty. You know, like I just start drinking too much, all that shit. Like, so it's just like, this is bad. So, you know, turning it around, focus on getting up as early as I can. Because that's just part of the thing with the baby, you know? So like,
yeah,
my time is so limited and I've got a full-time job. So it's just like, well, I guess my time that I have to focus on anything that I need to do is to get up at fucking 4 a.m. So that's what I do. I get up 4 in the morning, work out, I eat, do whatever, go to work, come home, play with the baby, clean, eat, do all that shit, go to bed, do it again. And so I've been able to like hopefully gain some, you know, cardiovascular strength back and doing all that kind of stuff. But
yeah.
you know, but training and everything like with vocally, it hasn't been very much of it. So I don't need too much like before a show. Like I'll spend like a week and a half before like practicing almost every day, like doing like the weird shit, like locking myself in my office and yelling. I haven't done that. I haven't done that with the baby yet, so we'll see how I, you know, scare the shit out of her.
He starts crying, yeah.
Yeah, but I gotta do. But I've always hated that. Like, there's just trying to like, because it takes such a like a so much build up and preparation, and I have to like put true emotion into doing it, you know. So trying to find that spot of doing it when it's just me on my own with headphones in, and dude, trying to make it worth it, feel like anything, it's fucking weird, and yeah, I don't like it, but I gotta do it because I gotta prepare. But
yeah, I've always had that issue too, man. I mean, I used to scream in a band, and it was always that, you know, people, show me, you scream for me. It's like, no,
fuck yourself. No.
Yeah, no. And even in the studio, I would have a hard time, you know, because it's not the same as having like the band there and you're in rehearsal and you get lost in the noise and you just let it out. In the studio, everything's very clean and concise, and I just don't feel as into it, you know, emotionally as I would at a live show. So it's always been a struggle for sure.
Yeah, especially recording. Recording takes a long time because there is no other time that you hear yourself as clearly as when you're recording. And so the first response always, and just because you're not like fully warmed up, you're not fully ready to go. So like that first like half hour or whatever of trying to like lay down vocals is always just like, this is what I do. This is a fucking nightmare. This is terrible. Everything about this is shit.
Yeah.
But then like you kind of like find your pocket and you're able to, you know, like, get the mix correct, and you start, you know, and then you can really get in. Even then, I need something to like strangle the whole time I'm recording, you know. So I usually have like a mic stand with no head or anything that I can literally just like choke the shit out of while I'm doing, like, so I have something to like, you know, like to strangle
that's the only word
while I'm doing it. Yeah, I mean, that's really what it is. Just like fucking both hands, just like try to like snap the mic stand for every take. Just I can't hold a microphone, can't move around, so I just need that something to like, you know, release or have some sort of emotional effect too.
So when you mentioned you started drinking during the pandemic, I mean, how bad was it? Because the same thing happened to me. I mean, I've already been a drinker. You know, I work in the beer industry, and you know, I've been a drinker. So I used to, but only used to do it on the weekends. But then when the pandemic hit, like the first couple months, no. But then when I saw and I gave in, like there was a moment, and I've said this on the show a bunch of times already, but there was a moment when I snapped and I gave up. Like I think I was watching Tesseract do a live stream, and I was like, this is it from now on? This sucks. Like, they're doing a great job. Great production. Amazing. Beautiful. But I'm never going to be able to go to a live show. Like, and I snapped and just started drinking every day.
Yep.
Fuck it.
Yeah. Yeah. It was definitely every day. See, the pandemic for me was a little weird because I mean, Los Angeles got locked down. I mean, obviously we all know how
we're still in a state of emergency now.
Yeah, straight up. How intense the lockdown was here specifically.
Yeah.
But I worked every day through it. Like I'm not what were they called? Essential workers, you know?
Essential
like
workers.
Those poor fuckers that had to do all that. Like I'm not that, but like my job what I did at my job was also very important. So if I quit, or like, because he gave everybody the option, my boss gave everybody the option to, like, if you want to stay home, you could stay home. We got you. Don't worry about it. But the position that I was in was just like, well, if I go home, then production stops. So it was just like, well, I keep going in. We got Fridays off during all that shit, but it was, you know, so, and it went down to a skeleton crew there. And so, like, my workload's like, oh, so I was still worked every day, went through, got my ass kicked at work all day, you know, would come home. Shit was weird. Start drinking, hang out with the wife, do whatever, you know. And then eventually it got to the point where just like you get like that constant whiskey nag drain in your head where it just like your brain hurts all the time. And like, I absolutely fucking hate being hungover. And so I'll do whatever I can to avoid being hungover. But, you know, if you like drinking whiskey, then there's no getting around dry ass, gross feeling in your head. So it got to the point where just like, I mean, this is rough. This is too much. I'm like, plus when one of the things he would do my boss was doing when we were working every day was like, since you're all here, I'll buy you lunch. And it was like always like the most bomb ass delicious, like birria tacos and all kind, like just the beautiful fattening food. And so then that's what I was doing, man. I was just drinking every day and eating like a pig and just gained a whole bunch of weight and just like, well, now I don't even recognize myself. I'm bummed out all the time and the world is weird. So I don't know. Change like the mindset, especially with the baby, it changed your brain so much that it's just like, yeah, I can't do that. Like everything I have has to be both like, I want to be as good as I can possibly be.
Yeah.
So that I can be best for and myself.
Yeah, I got to that point too where, you know, when I started seeing things reopening, I'm like, oh, we're going to come back from this. Oh, maybe I shouldn't just kill myself. You know what I mean? Yeah. With booze and food. I got to keep going after. So, I know what you mean. Like, and even then, like, you can, when you're drinking, like what I do is, you know, I try to drink water, like 2 glasses of water in between each drink. That way you don't get that hungover. But what ends up happening is you don't get as drunk.
Yeah. So you don't even feel it. So you drink more. Yeah.
You just keep drinking more. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, man. But I don't know. I felt, like I said, true despair for the first time. Like, I mean, I've stood in front of a tornado before because I was in North Carolina not living, but I was staying with my my family there for a little bit. And a tornado dropped, like, you know, right down the street. You could see it heading right at us. And I kind of froze in place and just kind of like stared at it. And eventually it like veered away. But I was like, that was the only other moment in my life where I was like, oh, I give up. You know, hands up, you take me. Okay. And the pandemic there, they got to that point, man. I'm glad that we all kind of got out of that. But shit's still weird.
Yeah.
You know, especially here in LA. So like you said, you never run out of things to scream about. There's too much going on. Speaking of all of that, the things going on and everything you've gone through, lyrically, what did you do for these 2 new songs, like Ataraxis and Long Shadows? Like, what are the thematic, you know, what are the themes for those 2?
It's a weird thing because, like, you know, it's not even just the kid. It's like as you get older, the shit you get angry about really changes, you know, and it's a lot of it. I mean, my music or my lyrics have generally really been like overly introspective, you know, like, I don't know how I do it on purpose, but like if you count the times the word or the phrase I am is in our lyrics, it's probably in almost every song. And it's not really like I don't write it because I'm like trying to like be showy or like
make it about you.
Yeah, be self-important. But what it is it's just like partly I love the phrase I am because you know, like I grew up religiously and that phrase from the Bible where like God calls himself I am that I am. So in a way, like when I do something like that, I play with the way I write. I want everything to have at least 3 or 4 meanings, even to myself. So like if I write something and it can mean that many different things to me when I write it, then I, it's like, it's cool because it can be interpreted in so many different ways. But like specifically with that, like I am in that way, it's self-empowering because like I get to like throw in this, like, no, I am God kind of idea into everything. But then the usual focus of the lyrics are just like how shitty I feel about myself a lot of the time. So it's playing with like the dichotomy of like trying to own all of my own power, but also just like dealing with all of my own shit. And so it grows from that kind of idea a lot of the times where the song, especially Ataraxis, like I might be wrong right off the top of my head because it's been a minute since I wrote them and looked at them, but like the term Ataraxis is like the state of perfect serenity. So the lyrically there's a lot in the song about just like literally crawling out of a fleshy hell pit, like the world is just fucking crazy and gross and so it's myself, like I don't like to overly explain it because I like it to be kind of open, but there was a lot of it just being kind of like trying to be comfortable within how weird shit is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How, like, I mean, and there's always been like part of it is because of my own creation. Like I a lot of things in my life, so like the shit that I do that makes things feel bad in my life, or the way the external factors and all of that, but also trying to find some sort of, like center in all of it. And so I feel like that's kind of the core of what Ataraxis, plays with, the idea that it plays with. There's still a lot more in there that, like, even if I read it to myself, I could pull tons of different meanings out of it.
Interesting. It's funny. I got really bad advice years ago when I was writing lyrics, and somebody told me to stay away from using I, and I disagree with that. Like, I think what you do is, perfect because it allows the listener to kind of put themselves in those shoes. And if they can relate with what exactly you're saying, like, let's say, I am death or whatever, any kind of lyric that they can relate to, it makes them, like you said, empowered to be like, oh, it's me. I also feel this way, Yeah.
Cause I guess there would be like a level of, I don't know if it's narcissism or whatever it would be, to like it really pisses off a lot of people when they're like, they feel like a lyricist is just solely like, I.
Yeah.
And I mean, I am guilty of that. I do that, but it's not, I feel like I'm coming at it from a different place. Like I do want it to be interpreted through the listener however they want. And if they could put themselves in the shoes for that, then that's great. Yeah. But like I said, like, even when it comes to practicing or any of that, like there's so much of it that is based on like raw emotion that I need a true connection to be able to emotionally put something out there. Like, so like I love songs and music that talk like their base of what they sing about is fucking Lord of the Rings or like science fiction, like all that kind of shit. Like I love their band and I love listening to their music, but I couldn't perform that music in a meaningful way for myself because I don't, like I can't emotionally connect to screaming about orcs.
Right.
So like I like listening to it, but for myself, I need to have like, it's just got to get ugly for me, I guess, in my own way to be able to like emote the way that I need to, that the music requires, because there's nothing kind generally about what we do. And so I need to connect to that part of me that is unkind to perform it.
Yeah, I agree, man. I think it's, I'm the same way. And I'm the bands that I still feel the need to mosh to. I don't mosh anymore. I'm too old.
Mosh retirement for sure.
Mosh retirement. But the ones that make me want to mosh are usually bands like that, like you guys, or Every Time I Die, where like the lyrics are still very personal, and I can connect and like put it in my own head and kind of switch a couple words to make it directly connect to me, so that I can then release that anger in the pit or whatever it is. So I wanted to, before moving on to, I want to talk about your art a little bit before we wrap up.
Sure.
I almost lost it. Oh, your job. Do you mind, like you said production and you work through the pen, but you're not in essential work. So like, what are you doing?
Oh, right now I work for it's essentially like a high-end jewelry company. It's I'll plug them because they're cool. It's called Good Art. It's Good Art Hollywood. And, like the way I came, it was just kind of interesting. Like the owner is a really nice dude. He's into motorcycles and, like been doing like the jewelry business or whatever for about 30 years. And I got connected to him through one of my friends in Salt Lake, who's a motorcycle builder. His name is Andy. His company is Pangea Speed. And so he makes all kinds of fucking awesome motorcycles, motorcycle parts, whatever. But he knew I was in LA, and it was the time before I lived here. And I was just kind of like back, like, in between tours, essentially what I was doing is like, we would go on tour and then I would stay with my girlfriend and my wife. And Andy called me and he was like, "Hey man, are you in LA?" I'm like, "Yeah." And he's just like, I just did a tour of one of my friends who it has like a company where he builds jewelry and does all this stuff. And he was just like, he mentioned that he needed people. He's like, "Do you want a job?" They're like, "Well, I don't know." Cause I wasn't living here, I wasn't doing any of those things, but I was just like sitting in my ass all day here, just as a work or whatever. Yeah. But yeah, I'll go talk to him, And so I went and he gave me a tour of the whole facility, and like, it was brand new. He just moved into this big giant space, like making a big move up. And it's literally every step of the process, from the homemade design through CAD, or even like carving wax molds and all that stuff, all the way through to battery, to the finishers. So like every step of making super, super high end jewelry is done in this one spot. And so like when I went in, I told them kind of what my deal was. Like, "Look, I'm still in a band. And like, if I came work for you, like I would need pretty big chunks of time off to go tour and do those things." And he was just like, "Well, I don't hire people part-time, but you want to start today?" I was like, "Oh yeah, sure, man." And so like, but basically like I just started out like helping him build the place, like I built a couple walls, like put up doors, just did all, like helped clean out all the shit. And then eventually like went on tour and then came back, and he's like, "Oh, you came back." And so when I came back, he put me, as part of the production line. So I started doing, like what I was doing was making like the wax molds, so like you shoot, like you have a ring, so you make the wax mold of that ring, and then you eventually turn that piece of wax into a piece of silver or whatever. And so my job became that, and I was literally the only person that was doing it. So I would go in there, and so if I took the time off, then that one beginning of the whole process isn't going to get done, and then nobody else there can have any work to do. Because that part was missing. So it was cool. I mean, he was super great about like if we wanted to stay home at any point, at any time, whatever we could. But there was already so few people working there. You weren't fucking with anybody else. It was just like, and so yeah, so that's what I do for the most part. Like I do that, and then just on the side or in my as much as I can for whoever I can. But then also like I've been doing like a lot of work on specifically in drawing, and so.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I want to bring up what you're doing with the drawing. I kind of think I know what you're talking about, but now that you mentioned the jewelry thing, there is a segment of metal that's like high fashion, like people like Behemoth, and like, is that something you want to bring into Cult later in terms of jewelry, since you have access to it? Like, do you want to start making your own pieces that you could sell on your website?
I never really crossed my mind for the band, but I've learned the process. I've learned design. Like I spent a lot of time working in the CAD, so I could actually like design a piece of jewelry on a computer and have the means. I'm not going to take advantage of the company that I work for, so like I'm making shit through them or whatever. But like I've learned enough to where if I wanted to actually start producing jewelry, I could. But especially for the band and in the punk world, like it doesn't feel right for us for sure. Like I don't feel like I would ever try to sell like a $2,000 cult leader necklace, but it also like, yeah, you never know. But also like it's a very, very cool, thing to learn, but it's not the art I'm pulled towards. I don't feel like I explored it to like see like, could I feel this, in this way to like point my life in this direction specifically for myself? And I don't necessarily think that's the case, but it's very cool. It's interesting, and I'm glad I can help him make what he makes. And I can testify that the shit is like, the quality is unparalleled. Like we work so fucking hard on all those pieces. So even if the majority of it's not anything that I wear, it's not my style, like there's definitely parts that I love and that like things that we make that I love, but I don't know, that it doesn't seem like the direction that I'm pointing my life in an independent way.
Yeah. I never been able to wear jewelry. I've suck at it. I suck at it. Like the pieces that have been given to me over the years, I lose them, I break them, and there's also this weird, I think I broke it down not too long ago. I smoked an exceptional amount of weed, and I kind of had a realization of like, I think I was traumatized by Aladdin from Disney when I was a kid. Because at the end of the movie, when the genie loses his like bracelets or whatever, and he's like, I'm free. And I think that kind of just locked in my brain that if I wear any kind of jewelry, I'm locked in for something like this. Like this, I am actively locked in. Like I did that on purpose. I forced myself. I'm like, I need this so I can, know that I'm locked in. But anything else, it just feels weird. I want it off of me.
Yeah. I'm physically training myself to wear jewelry or whatever. Like, like I've got my necklace on or whatever, and like through my whole life, I was never able to wear a watch. So I got my sweet Casio on. I'm just
nice
rolling that way. But like, even for like my wedding ring, like I designed it. That is one thing I got to do. Like I designed my ring. I made it. I made her ring, like all that stuff all the way through, and they're beautiful. But like, hard to wear, man. Like I having jewelry on, like I feel like it just, there's just something about like heavily jewelried people. It's like, it doesn't speak to it. It works for them. It doesn't speak, it doesn't work for me. Like I put on one ring and then I suddenly start feeling like fucking Steven Tyler's mic stand. You know what I mean? Or like, and so it's just like, it's hard.
Yeah, I feel you 100%. Now to the art, you are doing work with House of Black. I saw you did a design. Yeah. How did that connection come about? Because I know Malakai Tommy, he's a big metalhead, so I'm sure he, there's connections there. But like, how did that all come about?
Yeah, so like it's House of Black and Black Mass. So like Black Mass is his personal brand, and like I just started following him because it was cool to see like once the Undertaker retired, and then it was cool to see like some like a new young guy who you could tell was into heavy music. Like there was just something about it. Like this guy gets it. But that's cool. Yeah. And he's also like playing the heel, like the satanic heel, and like doing all that kind of stuff. So it was like I dug his character. I thought it was fun, and just started following him. And that was it. And then one day he just messaged me and said that he was actually like a pretty into cult leader and in the band and my drawings and stuff. He's like, well, do you want to do a collaboration with my clothing brand? And so I was just like, I think so. I guess. Like, I don't know if we had ever considered anything like that before. I was like, yeah, that could be pretty fucking cool. So I talked to the band about it, and they're just like, I know this sounds strange. Like it's like a professional wrestler for the, and all this explaining it to them, but I promise you guys, he gets it. It's like, yeah, let's do it.
Nice.
And so I did a kind of revised a drawing that I had. I gave a whole bunch, but we settled on one, and I kind of revised it a little bit, and then sent it into him, and his guys made a pretty fucking cool shirt out of it, and we sold it, and it sold really well. And so then that was just kind of a thing. So that was cool. And then not much happened, for a period of time. And then he actually just hit me up again. He's like, hey, I've got another project coming up. Can you do a drawing for me? So yeah, fuck yeah, sure. So I did it. And then after that drawing, then he's like, well, do you want to come on as like a more permanent designer? Like, why the fuck not?
Yeah. Why not?
Yeah. Yeah. And so it's been cool. Like, yeah, I've got a bunch of designs that are in the pipeline now that are coming out. And like, there's been like, he's doing like, I won't say, but there's a lot of cool collaborations that are coming out. Like, I actually got to do the artwork for that are even like bands that I'm like, holy shit, I got to do a drawing for this band. That's fucking cool.
Nice.
So, yeah. So all that stuff will be coming out over the year. And like, I'm still putting in like, it's just kind of a fun thing. Cause like as much work as I can give him or draw or whatever, then eventually it's going to find its way out and into a pipeline. And so and he's cool as shit, man. He's super nice and he's rad, and it's fun he likes to give you voice messages, you know, on like, and so every time I pretend in my head that he's cutting a promo to me. You know?
You know, it's funny. I had a memory on Facebook a few weeks back that something I posted right when the Patient Man album came out, and I put Cult Leader lyrics are basically heel promos.
Yeah.
They're basically heel promos. I feel like I could see someone just yelling that at the screen, you know?
Yeah. And that's fun. Yeah. I mean, even in that way, that is something that him and I have like connected on, you know, like he gets to express himself through Malakai, you know, so like he's got this character that he gets to like pour all that kind of similar type of emotion. I mean, it's much more, you know, it's theatrical, it's professional wrestling. He gets to really like live in that character and that person, and it's really fucking cool. But like, you know, in our conversations, like we approach how we write more or less in, you know, like from a really personal in the same space. So it's cool. It's like a good connection in that way. And so, yeah, like doing stuff for him, working for that brand has been really fun.
That's awesome, dude. That's awesome. Like you said, you know, I'm growing up, Undertaker was my dude, and you know, afterwards, it was kind of like there was this void. You know, there was a couple characters here or there that I was like, oh, that's cool. Like Finn Balor, the Demon Finn Balor was very interesting. You know, as you can see, it fits with my aesthetics. But when I saw him come up, I was like, this is it. Like even his time in WWE was cool because he had that weird like vampire entrance or whatever. But now when he's in AEW with this whole thing, and he came out with Amun Ra music, so I was like, oh, that's my dude. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's my guy in wrestling. That's it. But that's awesome, dude. So do you watch now that you know, are you watching it more frequently now that you're kind of involved, sort of?
I mean, I try to keep up a little bit, but like, I honestly, it's that where people say like when you have a kid, like you'll go for 2 years without watching a movie.
Yeah,
that's essentially true. Like, so like maybe I'll see 15 minutes of something every day. And if it's like, if we're eating dinner or whatever, and my wife wants to watch something, then it's usually like a reality show or whatever she wants. But she just needs like, she's in a place where she needs just like lighthearted stuff. Like I can't even pretend to put on
nothing that you have to focus on. Yeah.
But and especially nothing heavy, like, which I still like thrive on horror and all that stuff. Like, the darker the movie, the more I love it. But she's just not in that place, you know. Like she's warm, trying to be warm and funny, and just like consume things that way. So if we do, then you know, I'll concede to her and like, just do that. But yeah, so not too much. There's a lot of shit out there so far that I'm just like, oh fuck, I'd love to watch that. But
are you making a list? You should make a list.
Yeah, I'll need to like make a full like checklist.
Yeah, like once the kid is like, you know, 8 or something, you could put him away at a like preschool or whatever. Now you have time. Like get on that list.
Yeah, I mean, even just the time where she doesn't require like constant attention, which I fully love being there and want to do that.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, that's, to me right now, it's more fun than watching movies, anyways. But there's still a lot. Like, I would just love to you don't really get to turn your brain off anymore. Now it's just like something requires constant attention.
Yeah. Well, in that vein, I'm gonna let you go. It's almost an hour, and I'm thanking you. You know, thank you for giving me that much time. I know how busy you are with the baby, but
no problem.
Everybody that is watching and listening, you're still open for commissions too, right? If you wanted,
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, if you want some incredible art, I mean, I'm wearing my...
Hey, the Vita shirt. Yeah. Fuck yeah.
I'm wearing a piece of his art, but support. Please pick up music. If you're into heavy music, I highly recommend. I picked up the Split EP vinyl. I'm upset because a new version came out after I purchased mine. I'm like, I can't have 4, different... I'm not that vinyl collector, I have friends that buy every variant. I have one. I pick one, the nicest looking one. I forgot which one I picked. I know it was a colorful one, but then they dropped that red one. I'm like, shit.
Yeah, that red one is sick. I like that.
But yes, please pick up music. Hit them up for art if you need it, and also just you sell prints and stuff on a website. You have a website?
Yeah, it's actually all on Death Wish. So
beautiful.
I have an art store on Death Wish. So you go Death Wish Inc. and then just put some shit up there. Hopefully, I'll put a lot more coming up. But
awesome. And you have those shows coming up. Are those listed online anywhere?
The Crucial Fest one is somewhere.
Crucial Fest.
Crucial Fest.
Here, let me pull this up real quick here, just so that we can talk about it. Oh yeah, August 25th through the 28th, Metro Music Hall.
Yeah.
I'm wondering where I got this August 21st Cult Leader show in my brain. But anyway, who knows?
Yeah.
Go see them live when they're around and follow him at useless.animal, right?
Yep. Yes, sir.
Useless.animal. Brother, thank you so much. Let's stay in touch. Like I said, I'm in LA too, and I'm always doing stuff. If you want to come out to the Comedy Store, I have a show there now too, so I can bring you in whenever you want to come hang out.
Okay, man. I can use some comedy.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, right. I got my shit, but yeah, I could use some.
Awesome, man. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you, man.